So Hilary, as divorce lawyers, one of the main things that obviously we came across was conflict about money.
There were more problems over money in a marriage than over sex.
Yes.
We had more difficulties. No, it is
Yes.
the really difficult thing.
The crux of the matter.
Yes.
And one thing that I feel very strongly about that people still think, and in fact I was appalled to find a lawyer only the other day said to me, of course there's still common law marriages.
Yes.
So we've got to be very clear about this,
Yes.
that in England and Wales, and this is what we're talking about, there is no such thing as common law marriage. If you're a cohabiting couple, you do not have the same rights as a married couple, or if you're in a civil partnership, if the relationship breaks down. And we've got to be very clear about that.
Yes.
But there's an old saying as well, is when poverty comes through the door, love goes out of the window.
Yes.
It causes a lot of stresses and strains.
Well, it's not just poverty. It's the balance of power.
Of course.
Is provided by, well, the person with the money has the power over the relationship in almost all cases.
Yes.
And it depends how they use it.
Yes. So we would say that a conversation, once you've been together for at least a year, you have to have the conversation about money.
You do.
And if you're uncomfortable about that, it says something about the relationship.
Yes.
Because you can't go on just thinking, all will be well, all will be well, all will be well. I was particularly interested in Paula and Ralph's situation, where Paula was earning quite a lot of money as the finance director, I think.
Yes.
Ralph was a paramedic. He thought that his job was much more socially worthwhile, but he did not, of course, earn as much as her. And she made it very clear. She had a little saying, he who pays the piper calls the tune. So he quite liked the idea because she would pay for holidays, but he also had an on and off affair with a colleague at work. And I'm sure, I think he would, if he was honest, it was because he was getting his own back against Paula.
Yes.
And so she was holding the purse strings and the power.
Yes.
So it's very, very important. I think if you want you've got to have a discussion.
You do. And it is a difficult one to have.
It's the most difficult.
Maybe you need a third person there. Maybe it's something that you need to get someone else involved with. I don't know.
Who though? An accountant?
Yes. Perhaps. Or even just a friend.
A friend? Ooh. No, I don't think so. Most people are happy to talk about sex. They're not happy to talk about their money or debt.
No.
With their friends.
No.
Or their family.
No. People are very secretive
very,
about money.
very
That's
secretive
where you
about
start
money.
from.
Yes.
But then how do they do it? How do you approach it? Do you get out? Do you have a book?
Well, I have heard that there's certain couples that I know who are in their 30s who, yes, they do have a book, and they reckon every penny that's spent by either of them goes into the book. They don't have joint accounts, and that's the relationship. But at least everybody knows where they stand. But I think if we are reluctant to have a conversation about money, it tells us a lot about the relationship.
Yes.
Particularly if we're going to have children.
Yes.
Because if we're going to have children, at some point somebody's going to have to compromise. I'm not saying it's a male or female, but somebody's going to have to compromise. And we've got to have a conversation about that. Otherwise, there is going to be a lot of resentment.
And of course, when you have children, everything changes because one person will be more likely to be the earner and the other one the spender.
Yes.
Because they'll be running the home.
Yes.
And that's a very difficult
Yes.
thing to balance. You do need a lot of honesty over that.
Yes.
I mean, think of the days when women were given an
allowance.
An allowance, the housekeeping.
I don't think that would happen
I
now.
don't think.
Well, I would hope not anyway.
Do you? I mean, it might be quite helpful.
Well,
do you think it's a budget anyway?
Yes. But I also think that with children, it's likely that both parties in same-sex marriages or heterosexual relationships will work.
Yes.
But somebody is going to have to take on the role of more of a prime carer or step down probably in their career, and they put themselves in a very vulnerable situation. So when we enter relationships, we are vulnerable. We're vulnerable emotionally, sexually, financially, but financially it can have long-term ramifications.
It can.